Well, come a little closer even. Like, what's gonna happen, guys, is this is a series of sculptures that I make that attract insects. So it's using ultraviolet light. So to the insects, they're gonna think that it's a full moon coming out of this sculpture. And they're gonna be attracted by that UV light because their eyes work differently than ours. They don't see red and yellow very well, but they see a much wider range of blue and violet. So to them, this is like glowing. They can see it for miles and miles away.
I hate bugs. I hate bugs. So like it changed my opinion on bugs because like now I actually appreciate them.
I think they're really helpful because of all the good things they will do.
I was like honestly a little nervous, like kids are like, ew, bugs, why? But they're super eager to learn about them.
Have you heard of a mayfly before?
No. The fact that it's a public work of art, but also that there are such concrete educational connections.
The longer we're out here, the more insects we're gonna see. We want to figure out a way to get people interested and inspired and on board to try to protect species. Abby, you want to start with number 53? So they can
Brandon Ballengée is both a biologist and an artist.
Arthropods started to do that during the Cambrian, and it was so successful. It's amazing that our lineage survived.
He uses his expertise in biology, his scientific work, his scientific research, in order to inform his art making.
I grew up in a rural area in kind of central Ohio, and always had a fascination for nature and love of nature and animals. But at the same time, I would have lots and lots of aquariums and actually had my own kind of laboratory. But I was also drawing them and painting them, and so that art side was always an important part for me.
Brandon Ballengée is now a postdoctoral fellow at Louisiana State University, studying biodiversity in the Gulf of Mexico and what's happened to it since the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010. His installation, Collapse, is the artwork he's made about what he's finding.
Both during and after the spill, lots of seafood and wildlife, of course, were found covered in oil or literally like with signs of the oil inside of them. And so you can see these are examples of some of the shrimp that people were catching. It's like an open lesion or a wound at the top that's oil stained, and then you can literally see the oil inside of that one. And these actually came from a market. So these were being sold as seafood in New Orleans, and somebody found them, froze them, and then saved the specimen for me.
14 varieties of fish haven't been seen since the oil spill took place in 2010. They're represented by the empty jars.
So what I've been trying to do is try to locate those missing fish, and not just doing that myself, but actually doing it through art, science, and outreach. So I go to fishing piers, I go work with commercial fishermen, shrimpers, crabbers, and I've developed with a whole other team a portable biodiversity museum that we take to different locations. It's a way to meet people and hopefully get them inspired by the great biodiversity in the Gulf, but also trying to get them to be citizen scientists and get them involved with what it takes to understand what's actually happening in the Gulf and what's happening in these really great, large, complex ecosystems and environments.
Getting to know the natural world up close is at the heart of Brandon Ballengée's approach to art.
We can't save organisms that we know nothing about.
The image is so compelling, and in many cases, very elegant. But then up close, you realize that there's this other story going on.
Frogs enlarged, so we can see how a poisoned environment has led to malformations in these tiny amphibians. Frameworks of absence are memorials to species already extinct. For these, Brandon found images of animals created close to the time of their disappearance and carefully cut them out of the picture.
And as he cut the extinct animal out of the print, he then took the animal itself, the printed animal, and would burn it. It was somewhat of a symbolic gesture because the animal was extinct, so by burning it and placing it in the urn was paying homage to this animal that is now no longer with us. So each urn has the burnt pieces placed inside, and it reads, R.I.P., rest in peace, Audubon's bighorn sheep.
Brandon Ballengée sees how loss of habitat, pollution of our land and water, and climate change are all threatening the fish, frogs, and entire ecosystems he loves so much. But as an artist and as a scientist, he refuses to give up.
Conservation works. All evidence suggests that when we give species the opportunity to just survive, life wants to persist. We just have to let it. Like the same way that ladybugs do.
The one thing I hope I don't
really
see
getting
is
a lot of bugs on me.
Oh yeah. People put them, like to see them in their garden.